Hello everybody, welcome to Carrow Road. The title of this video is Statement Win, and that is what Norwich City have delivered here this afternoon. They've beaten West Brom by 2-0, but more than that, they put in a performance that I think will offer everybody a lot of encouragement. Look, I've had to come out game after game after game this season and talk about performances that have been flawed or performances that have had holes in them or poor results and it's been a really difficult season to do a lot of these. I had a comment a few weeks ago, it might have been after the Bristol City Cup game, saying that a lot of these verdicts could be carbon copies of each other. And that's absolutely true, to be honest, in terms of what I've said about this team and their performances. And I think maybe there's some people who watch who maybe feel that there's an enjoyment about delivering those negative verdicts, and there's an enjoyment at picking holes in this team, and there's an enjoyment when results aren't going the way they should be, and that's not the case at all. And actually, I think when you get a result like this, in many ways, it makes you go, "Oh, where's this been all season?" Because this is a team that is capable of producing a performance like that, where they have been so effective and so complete and got the balance between a defence and attack right, and being clinical and showed real quality. And if they could just display that every week, and I could come out here and smile and be happy and talk about how effective Norwich City has been, then that would be a much more enjoyable experience for me, and I'm sure for you guys watching when I'm stood in, freezing cold grounds in the middle of January. So I just wanted to preface this kind of video with that, because I think sometimes there's a lot of, you're negative for the sake of negative, or you're negative because you've got an agenda. My mantra whenever I've done these videos has always been to say what my eyes see. I don't want to lie to people. I want to give my opinion, and look, if people want to disagree with it and they want to agree with it, fine, either way. But that's what these videos are for ultimately. So I just wanted to say that because I think it's important to. So there we go. Norwich have won, and they haven't just won. They've performed excellently. I think for me, you'll be hard pressed to find a better Norwich City win this season than that one. Real statement win, fantastic individual and collective performances. David Wagner has had to endure and absorb a lot of criticism and a lot of stick this season. That's been justified, but when he gets it right, you have to also give him praise for getting it right. And today was an example, I think, of Norwich City getting it right. It was a team that resembled a lot of what they did back in August, maybe science for fashion acts, but barring that, it was very similar. And it's a team that showed two very different faces of itself in either half, but got a job done against what I think and what's proven to be one of the better teams in the Championship this season in West Brom, who are incredibly effective and have been incredibly effective for a long time. And sit fifth in the table, and if they'd won this game here at Carrow Road today, which is another reason it makes this win so much more satisfying, they would have gone 10 points ahead of Norwich, and I think fifth place at that point would have gone. The fact that Norwich City have been able to win and they've been able to do it in that fashion, I think people are leaving Carrow Road for the first time with a smile on their face, with belief flowing through their veins. And look, ultimately, one swallow doesn't make a summer, and we know that. But I think after what everyone's had to endure, having watched this team this season, the frustration that's been felt, the anger, not a disconnect, I don't want to use that word, but for want of a better word, the disconnect between maybe, or maybe lack of relationship is a better word, between even those at the top of the club and those supporting it, or those on the pitch. I think this is just a night to enjoy what we've seen today, which is an excellent Norwich City performance. First half was some of the best football. There was a 5-minute spell in the first half where Norwich City, I didn't know if I was watching Norwich City or if I'd drifted off to the Copacabana or the Maracanã and was watching Brazil. It was slick, and they were a lot better in possession. They used the ball a lot better, and I think that is really, really positive. And I think I've been critical. I was critical at Hull of how they used the ball and their approach to it, but they used it a lot better. And this is the thing that, in many ways, underpins all of that frustration, because when they knock the ball around like that and when they get themselves up the pitch like that, you're sat there going, blimey, this is what this team can do. I mean, the quality that's in there. Gabriel Sara, Josh Sargent, Jack Stacey was very effective. Kenny McLean ran the show in the first half. There are players in that team who are top-end Championship players, and David Wagner is right. When they produce performances like this, they are competitors, you know, at the right end of this division, and that is where they should be, and that is where this team feels like it should be in terms of the quality that it has on its squad on paper. And sometimes it's been tactical deficiencies, sometimes it's been, you know, injuries have clearly had an impact. Of course, I don't think they had quite a big impact on the slump that we saw, as maybe others will have you believe, but that's my view. But this was I don't want to say it was perfect, but it was complete. It was a really balanced performance from Norwich City today. The first half, as I said, they were effective. John Rowe had a couple of great saves saved by Alex Palmer. The goal comes actually from Kenny McLean misplacing a pass. West Brom play it forward, goes to nick a ball around the corner. McLean then steps in, and then Norwich are so good in transition, and they get away, and Sargent is sent through. And actually on Sargent, you know, I was not sceptical, but I was a little bit concerned maybe that he wouldn't come back and look quite like the same player, and he wouldn't have that energy and that willingness to press and all of those things that we saw at the start of the campaign. And my fear was, well, what if that was just a good run of form? And actually, I think you can see in his numbers now, his expected goals numbers, he's outperforming them for the first time in his career. There is a real player in there, and someone who has shown themselves to be a deadly finisher. And I don't think actually the shot is the best. I think maybe the goalkeeper could do a little bit better with it, but it shows how clinical he is, and I think how much of a threat he is, and how much he gives Norwich, not just in behind, but with their press as well. And it was a really good finish. But Norwich could have been 2-0 up by half time. John Rowe, as I said, was forcing a couple of good saves out of Palmer within a minute, and that came in a 5-minute spell. But after that ended, we did see a little bit more of West Brom coming to the party, and Norwich going at the break 1-0 up, having been very effective, having played some of the best football that we've seen certainly at Carrow Road for a significant period of time. And I think I probably was expecting a response. We did see that. Swift had a shot just in the opening 5 minutes, 10 minutes or so of the second half that went just wide. And it was a very different type of performance that Norwich City had to deliver. They had to be a little bit more defensively obdurate. They had to dig in. They had to be structured. And they were. And that is where maybe the muscle memory from games gone past, Hull and Southampton and whatnot, and those kind of defensive elements to that performance have paid dividends, because they were able to limit them to very little. And then when the game came transitional, they were able to be effective, and they've got players who really hurt teams in transition, and that is what David Wagner has tried to build his team on. And you look at the quality that they have in attacking areas, and the goal comes from Jack Stacey surging up the pitch, finding Gabriel Sara. As John Rowe makes, I know people will talk about the finish, but he makes an excellent run just inside the fullback that creates the space for Dimi Yanulis, who I thought was going to shoot in real time, but he just had the awareness and the intelligence to cut the ball back to Rowe, who sweeps it into the back of the net. And that young man is flying. And increasingly, I see parallels there with James Maddison, someone who is far too good for this level, someone who's showing consistency and frightening levels of consistency at the age he is. And just incredibly impressive what he's being able to do at the moment. Is willingness. I spoke about this a little bit after Ipswich. There's that. It's really difficult. You either have it or you don't as a player. But that real desire to get in and score goals, he has that nous, that ability to kind of sniff an opportunity and be able positionally to know where to go. But it's more than that. It's the way he's dropping shoulders, the way his driving runs that are getting Norwich City up the pitch. As we saw actually in the second half, improvement in terms of his defensive behaviours as well. That is some player now that is developing, and that is going really well. And the second half, I think, was a different type of performance, but probably a good performance. And West Brom, I felt, with better finishing, maybe we'll feel that this scoreline could have been slightly different. I do think that Norwich could have perhaps had a little bit more control at points. But when you're ruthless and when you're effective in those moments that you do have going forward, then you can put games to bed, and you can really punish teams, particularly at this level, where if you are clinical, you don't half give yourself a chance. And look, I wanted to speak a little bit about the defensive improvement, because I think I spoke a little bit about it after Hull, but leading up to Cardiff, so that point in that international break, Norwich was shipping 2 goals a game on average. I said go back and watch that video verdict, I said it. What you can't do is rely constantly on having to score 3 goals a game to win games. It's not sustainable. And look, Wagner and his coaching team deserve huge credit for the way that they fixed that. He has managed to, and the team have managed to look a lot structured a lot better. They're not pushing the fullbacks quite so high. There was an interesting thing that we saw today with Gabriel Sara going in more advanced areas and Ben Gibson kind of stepping into more of a midfield role, and that was quite interesting. And I just think structurally there's a lot of improvement, and when you do that and you can add a bit better balance, and that's been the criticism I think of performances at Hull and performances in other places. When you get that balance and you get that clinical edge and you get that ruthlessness at the top end of the pitch, you get these type of performances where you look much better at both ends. And again, ultimately, he is the head coach, and other people have to really credit themselves for that. It's now 2 defeats in 12 for Norwich City, and I think given that this season has kind of felt like constantly that Norwich are a defeat from crisis, they're 2 defeats from crises. That's some turnaround, and it's a really good body of work. They've taken 7 points from games against Southampton, irrespective of what you think of that performance. Hull, irrespective of what you think of that performance, and now West Brom. 7 points from those 3 games is an incredible return, and is a return that will keep them in and around that hunt for the top 6. And look, I don't think anyone is getting carried away, and I'm sure there will be scepticism, but this feels like a moment, and I've said that a few times this season, but that really does feel like a moment. And if Norwich can replicate that against Coventry here in a couple of weeks, I guess Leeds in midweek as well, then they've got a real chance. And this is, I think, as I said, which is underpin the frustration of anybody, because this group of players is capable of producing performances like that. And when they do it, they look really good. And yeah, I think everyone will walk away feeling a lot differently to how they did in perhaps recent home games, and that's a credit to how they've tweaked and how they've changed things. So look, credit where credit's due. It's they're in a good moment, and they're in a really good moment, and that is all it is at this moment in time. It's a good moment, it's a good run of form. The challenge now is, can they make it something more sustained? Leeds in midweek, I think, is going to be difficult, but what a time for Norwich City to go there on the back of 3 wins, having been really effective in their play, looking defensively improved. There is a real opportunity to go and produce something at Carrow Road. And then, look, if you can get a point there, if you can get 3 points there, would be incredible. No team's been able to do that in the Championship so far this season, go to Carrow Road and win. But if Norwich City can get a result there, or at least show a performance like this, then you go into Liverpool. That, I think, is a free hit for Norwich, if I'm completely honest. And then Coventry in a fortnight today, the team really bang in form as well. I mean, that has the makings of a really, really good game. So, look, there's a lot to be positive about tonight. And as I said, that's so refreshing. It's brilliant. And as I preface this vlog with, and I'll end it as well, I've not enjoyed really doing these this season, because you have to come out and be critical, and you have to come out and be negative. And there have been points where it's looked kind of directionless, and that nobody really knows where it's going or what the end destination is. Look, maybe we still don't. Maybe those are questions that will rumble on beyond today. But at least tonight, we've got a Norwich City performance and a Norwich City win that we can sit back, we can enjoy, and say, do you know what? That was deserved. And that, I think, is all that anybody wants of their football team, to sit back and feel happy and entertained and enjoy watching it. And that is that's what I've come away with today. And actually, I did want to say, actually, the reaction at the end of the game from the Barclay, there was a really throaty, hearty rendition of On the Ball City. Like I said, this felt like a moment today. It's up to Norwich City to prove it was a moment, that it can be a moment, that they can now push on and go and attack the rest of the season. But they've got the quality in this squad, and I've said that throughout. I think this is a better squad than people have been saying. And hopefully with this momentum and with this structure, they can go and attack the rest of the season. Thank goodness for that. Thank you very much for watching. It's lovely to be positive and be able to do one of these on a smile on my face and talk about a much-deserved Norwich City win. Thank you all very much for watching. Enjoy your Saturday evenings. I'm sure you will after that. And excuse me, that's giddiness over the result. And I'll see you all at Carrow Road on Wednesday. See you soon. Thanks for watching.